one of our favorite TV shows is also The Office.
Yeah.
We thought it would be fun take that clip of Dwight doing his fire drill and let's break it down and see what lessons we can learn about emergency preparedness. Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Perez.
And I'm Wesley Long.
And we're bringing you a fresh new take on disaster preparedness.
Welcome to Disaster Class.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Disaster Class.
Yes.
So, in case you haven't realized by now, Wesley and I like to have fun
A little bit.
in the office, right? We tend to have.
They don't really know.
They don't know.
They don't really know.
We have,
and we can only show them so much.
We've sheltered them a little bit.
We have to. It's for their own safety. We have
the
to.
shenanigans that happen on a regular basis in the office. Yeah.
And again. And again.
Yeah.
And again.
And again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The shenanigans that happen in our office.
Ooh. We have a good time.
Speaking of The Office.
The Office.
So one of our favorite TV shows goes by the same name of The Office.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows. I mean, it's classic. It never gets old. I think I've watched the series, I don't know how many times. From start to finish, probably at least 4 times.
Yeah, I'm probably at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, one of my favorite episodes is the I think it's called Stress Relief. It's from season 5.
Yep.
And it was when they aired aired right after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And it's the one with the famous cold open of Dwight doing his fire drill.
Love it.
It's just one of my favorite all-time. Yeah.
Classic.
So,
great episode, great cold start.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we thought it would be fun because we're both big fans of The Office.
We are.
And we thought we would actually take that clip of Dwight doing his fire drill and let's break it down and see what lessons we can learn about emergency preparedness.
Because there's some good stuff.
Yeah, I think there's some good lessons.
There's definitely good lessons. Definitely some good lessons. Good lessons. Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
So how are we going to do this? We're going to watch it?
Yeah, so we're going to watch the cold open from season 5, episode 13. It aired on February 1st, 2009. Yep. Right after the Super Bowl 43. And it's actually interesting. This episode brought in over 20 million views, making it the most watched episode of the entire series.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Go Super Bowl.
Go Super Bowl.
Oh.
So we're going to watch it. You'll get to watch our reactions of... I
have not seen it in a minute, so this
it's been a while, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
It's going to be good.
So let's go ahead and let's play this, and let's see what lessons we can learn from Dwight. I just love how he keeps that stuff like
it
in
just
his
has
drawer.
it accessible.
Has it
at
accessible.
all times. Locks the door.
Locks the door.
Last week I gave a fire safety talk, and nobody paid any attention.
To break the key off.
It's my own fault for using PowerPoint.
It's so
PowerPoint is boring.
PowerPoint is boring.
Death by
People
PowerPoint.
learn in lots of different ways.
Yep.
But experience is the best teacher. Today, smoking is going to save lives.
Oh, he is so ridiculous. The best part is, he throws the whole can there. He just goes and sits down.
Yes.
He just lit the office on fire, and he goes and sits down in the office.
Yeah.
Does anyone smell anything smoky?
Did you bring your jerky in again?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Fire!
Oh, fire! Oh my goodness! What's the procedure? What do we do, people?
The phones are dead.
Oh, how did that happen?
It's out in the hall.
No, we don't know that. The smoke could be coming through an air duct.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
No, Michael, no! Touch the handle. If it's hot, there could be a fire in the hallway.
What does warm mean?
Oh my gosh, try to
Not a viable option. What next?
Don't try.
Over the other door. Oh, here's a door. Check that one out. How's the handle?
It's warm. Okay, go to the back
Well,
door.
another option. Another option. Jeez. Okay, settle down,
Yo.
everyone.
Oh, I forgot my
Panic
purse.
ensues.
woman.
Get out of the way. Go, go, go. Things can be replaced, Phyllis. People, human lives, however, can...
Ah, my hand. That's hot. This was hot too.
Okay, we're trapped. Everyone for himself. Okay.
Here we go. Let's go. Get out of my way.
Oh my! They trample the cameraman.
Have you ever seen a burn victim? Okay, procedure. Exit options. Where do we go?
Oh, the
folks?
cats.
What- Use a wash to cover the mouth. A what? A rag. A damp rag, perhaps. Let's remember those procedures. What are the options? Okay, that's the wrong way. We've already tried that. Remember your exit points. Exit points, people. What's next?
Stay alive. I'm getting help.
Pull me up.
You're too heavy.
You're too
I only weigh 82 pounds.
82 pounds.
Safe bandit.
Safe bandit.
How about 911? Anyone? 911.
Oh, that's right. They start. Oh my God.
Gotta save the snacks, Wesley.
Use this surge of fear and adrenaline to sharpen your decision making.
Okay, I am not dying here. Come on.
Oh my! As though it wasn't crazy enough already.
The fire's shooting at us.
It is interesting. That much time went through and nobody thought to pull the fire alarm. See, that's why it's not funny.
Attention! Employees of Dunder Mifflin! This has been a test of our emergency preparedness. There is no fire. It was only a simulation.
What?
Fire, not real. This was merely a training exercise.
Oh
So, what have we
my
learned?
goodness. Oh my goodness.
I mean, one of the best pieces of
Ever.
television
Ever.
history.
I'm like tearing up. I'm laughing. This is crazy. I forgot how much
So funny.
mayhem ensued.
Oh my goodness. So much mayhem.
Oh my word.
So much mayhem. All right, everyone. So we're going to pause real quick for this week's sponsors.
When you need an emergency plan, you need Doberman Emergency Management. Whether you are buying a home and want to know about your local hazards, or you are a professional needing additional support, Doberman Emergency Management can help. Visit DobermanEMG.com today to learn more.
Instinct Ready is here to help educate, prepare, and equip you for disasters. Everything from disaster preparedness education to quality survival products. Use promo code DISASTERClass at InstinctReady.com today for 10% off site-wide, because preparedness starts at home. All right, let's head back to the show. All right, so
epic.
So
Okay.
let's break down this episode, Wesley, because obviously there's a lot
Yeah, there's
wrapped
a lot.
up into it.
Should we at least explain to some of our viewers in emergency management the way proper trainings are supposed to happen?
That's a good, yeah. So, okay, to Dwight's credit,
Right. Mm-hmm.
okay, so he was trying to test them.
There are
He was
trainings and
trying
there are
to-
exercises.
There's trainings and exercises. So there's trainings that help actually, okay, go over procedure. Here's our plans. This is what we do in the event of.
Correct.
And then an exercise is where you try to
Simulate
simulate
the real
a
life event.
scenario. And there's different versions of that. So you have, like, I think when we taught when my friend Sherry Henderson on,
Yes.
we talked about a tabletop exercise
Correct.
and what a tabletop exercise is, and how
TTX, yep.
you sit around a table, you run through a scenario, and you kind of role play,
And
you
you
go
role
through.
play and voice treat, right?
Yes.
It's, here's what's happening. Here's what would happen. So in this case, it would be, okay, so say there was a fire in the office. Okay, people congregated to this exit, and you couldn't get out, and that wasn't an option, right?
And then you're working through the problem
Correct. You work
in a
through
calm
it.
environment.
Right, in a calm environment.
Yeah, and so that's a
Using your
tabletop
words.
exercise. But and tabletop exercises are great because it gets people kind of thinking about it. You know the exercise designer will injects that present very specific information of what's going on, and you have to react accordingly.
And
Then-
you get to understand the sequence of
Yes.
the procedure following.
Correct.
And that's very, very important.
Yeah. And then you have what's called a functional exercise. And a functional exercise, you're testing a very specific portion of the plan,
right.
or component of the plan. And so a good example of that is like a fire drill.
Yep.
So like we did it in school all the time, the bell goes off, all right, everybody funnels out, and you kind of go through the procedure of that specific component of the evacuation. That's like a functional exercise. Now, where you get into the next level is a full scale.
Yeah.
And a full scale exercise is all about trying to make a real life scenario and trying to simulate the event as much as possible. So they actually might, in some cases, they have, victims, they have special effects, and maybe doing, various things to
Kinda like
try to make
dye-pop.
it is, and we kind of,
Dynamic population.
we try to make it as real as possible to kind of simulate the event, simulate the stress. And so
we want to induce stress. We want the
correct.
heart rate of the participants to go up. We want people to feel stressed in that type of environment.
we wanted to make it as real as possible so that they get the idea of how to react under those stressful circumstances. So essentially what Dwight was doing here was a full-scale exercise.
Yes.
However,
Yes. They have to be well planned out. And it's very helpful if, you let the participants know
so that's key.
that they are in.
The participants need to know
Right.
that they
An
are
exercise.
participating
Right.
in said exercise.
Right.
And there's when you do put on like a full scale, there's very clear guidelines and instructions for how you operate in that environment. So you know how to differentiate what's fake and simulated versus what's real.
What's real.
Like when you during dye pop, you got to work the sim cell.
Correct.
And so that even just doing the radio communications, there had to be very specific lingo so that we knew it was simulated and not an actual emergency.
Exercise. We had, because what he's talking about there is with simulation cells. So we actually simulated the individuals and the participants having to call in for resources, and we were actually using radios from L3 Harris, right?
Correct.
So I was on the other end, like I was in dispatch, and I was the person receiving the orders and asking them for clarification and sometimes specification to make sure they weren't just asking for something random where they could kind of have everything. Nope, you need to know exactly what you're asking for and from whom. But every time we communicated over the radio, we had to say exercise, sim cell, go, right? So that because it was over public radio, if people were listening, they didn't think that there was really a fire happening or a mass casualty incident happening that responders were really going to.
Correct.
You have to have those parameters
Exactly.
put out so that people don't, hear that and oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on, but let's send a real engine there to check on it. That could legitimately happen.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So, to Dwight's credit, putting on an exercise is a great idea,
Very
and
good.
it serves a very good purpose in testing, your plans, right? Because you can have a good plan on paper,
Correct.
but you don't know really
Until you test it.
how well it works until you actually test it. And that's the point of these trainings and exercises, where you actually go through, you test a plan so that you can, identify gaps. Okay, what went well, what didn't go well, what did we learn, what can we improve and adjust in future planning.
Correct.
So that's the idea.
So great idea to have an exercise. And he also did say he had a seminar, right, the week before. And he said nobody listened. He didn't get buy-in. And I know you're going to talk to the buy-in component because emergency managers feel that pain. It's very usual for EMs to be dealing with lack of buy-in.
Because a lot of times people don't always understand the value, or it's like, well, it's never going to happen to me feeling, you know? And so that's the unfortunate reality is when you're putting on some of these trainings, is people don't always take it seriously. They tend to kind of change
on his own. That's hilarious.
which is fine, because typically when you actually go through the tabletops, the functional, the full scales, people start to, at least in my experience, they start to kind of take it more seriously.
Correct.
Because you're actually prompting them to work through a scenario, and then they're like, they start to think about things that they never would have thought of before.
And I think the funny thing is, because I used to do this a few years ago, and I was the one that created, the scenarios, and we put people on what we call then the hot seat. And it's funny because when you talk to individuals before the training, we would run through some of the scenarios, and they're like, that could never happen here.
Yeah.
And then as they did it in the scenario, it's like, why did you think that couldn't happen here? They're like, you're totally right. It totally could. Yeah. That's why we're practicing it.
Yeah,
it could
exactly.
happen. Yeah. So you're right. Buy-in does increase sometimes as you get some individuals the familiarity with what's going on.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's the one of the benefits of doing actual exercises is it kind of helps make it more real, and therefore you get a little bit more buy-in.
Yeah.
So now big fail on Dwight is participants need to know that they're participating in said exercise.
And it's a fake scenario. It's an exercise.
Correct.
It's not real. Your life isn't truly at stake.
Yeah. You can still simulate stress in an exercise without
but you don't have to have people having a heart attack. Poor Stanley.
Poor Stanley. So one of the things that it's good to happen though, because so after you do an exercise, is
Very
we do
important.
what's called a hot wash, and where we all sit together. All the participants and the exercise administrators all sit together after the exercise is complete, and they discuss what went well, what didn't get. And it's a no-fault environment, right? We're not looking to point fingers. We're just looking to identify what went well, what didn't go well, and where can we make improvement in the future.
Correct.
And that's really important that it's a no-fault, and because sometimes people
Pointing fingers.
They feel like it's not about that. It's it's a learning experience, and sometimes you expect that things are going to go wrong.
Right.
But those are the things you're looking for so that you can make improvements.
You can shore them up.
So we do what's called a hot wash, and then after that, all that data is assembled into what's called an after-action report.
Yep.
And that after-action report is going to help fuel and fuel the changes of what's going to happen in future planning.
Correct.
So after watching Dwight's fire drill, let's do our own little after-action. So looking at that whole scenario, what are your thoughts, Wesley?
So, okay, I've got a couple thoughts. One, if we're viewing him as the emergency manager, right? He was emergency manager, incident command, that kind of situation. Love his passion. Love the why, right? Love that. I'm on board 150% with that, and I get it. People got to learn. So I love the fact that as a teacher, as a trainer, he went with one approach. He felt as though it wasn't effective, and he changed his approach. That I love, right? On paper, all of that is great stuff. That was ridiculous. Okay?
So let's talk about the specifics of them. So let's say we're actually testing their plans.
Okay.
Right? What did we learn from because the thing is how do the people react in following the plan?
Yeah.
So I think
they didn't know the plan.
They didn't know the plan.
Nobody knew the plan.
Number one.
Right.
They didn't
Nobody
know
knew the plan. And this is where it is interesting and really important, right? So if you look at The Office, that situation, fortunately it's a television show, so they never had to really deal with an active shooter. There was an intruder once that Dwight took down. But so realistically, it's a TV show, so they didn't have really things like that to deal with. But if this was your office, do you know your points of ingress and egress?
Yeah.
Do you know if option A is blocked, which is legitimate and could happen, what option B is, what option C is, right?
Correct.
There should be a sequence to that in your emergency action plan, and that should be well communicated and then well rehearsed, right? It should be practiced by all of the staff. So those are legitimate things that he did. And testing the door handles, right? There's a lot of really good content there for fire management, fire safety management. But people gotta know.
Yeah,
you have to let people know in advance, and also too, if he really was the emergency manager and it was a real situation, he should be then there giving advice and direction.
Yeah,
right. Not just quizzing them when their stress level is through the roof and they're literally trying to break out of windows to get out. Right.
But this just goes now. The reaction. I'm going to take some time, set aside what Dwight should or should not have done. But let's talk about the actual outcome of the exercise, and thinking about how the people reacted. So number one, we learned they don't know the plan.
They don't know the plan.
They didn't know, and as a result, what happened?
Chaos.
Panic.
Chaos. And
confusion.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
Right? It was dangerous to not know the plan.
Yes, absolutely.
Even in an
100%.
exercise, even though there wasn't really a fire, Stanley had a heart attack.
Yeah. And then that's another, things happen. You have the initial disaster, But then
secondary,
but
tertiary
other
effects.
emergencies still happen.
Correct.
Right, and that's not uncommon for like if it was a real fire, someone may have a medical emergency.
Right.
What do you do in that case? And then
Or think about this situation: Oscar going up into the ceiling, he could have fallen. That could have been a major medical issue. Not so worried about the cat, but that could have also been an issue. Michael breaking the glass, Kevin breaking the candy machine glass. Now you've got glass that could cut people all over the place.
Yeah.
Could nick an artery. Like you're creating a massively dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Like,
so, and that all happened because they didn't know the plan. There was no order. It was like every man for himself.
Correct.
And it's like, there's like where leadership needs to know, okay, we got to let's calm down. Everybody stay calm. Let's go through the procedure. And so, one, they didn't know the fire evacuation plan. Number two, they didn't know a plan for dealing with a medical emergency.
Nope.
So you see
wallet in the mouth. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Hopefully, I mean,
did they have a first aid kit available?
Correct. Yeah, like so many things.
Any of it.
So it's very comical and it's funny.
However,
the lessons are real.
100%.
This is what happens.
Yeah.
This is very well what could happen if there's no planning, there's no practice, there's no training, there's no exercises. It's funny, but this is real.
It's real.
So
yeah.
Big lessons we can learn.
Big lessons we can learn from The Office.
Lessons
Dwight
from The Office.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
So I think it's just a big call out. It's funny, but it's we can take it seriously.
We can, and we should.
And we should.
Right? Learn from that. The lessons learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Awesome.
We're gonna do
anything we missed?
Are we gonna do the CPR episode?
I do, because that's the second part of this. Yeah, that's another one of my favorites.
What a great show.
There's a couple of other episodes from The Office when Michael tries to be Survivor Man.
Yes.
I think we should break down that one
cuts
too.
His pants. It's like the convertible pants.
And he tries to eat the mushrooms.
The mushrooms. Oh,
So
that was great.
I think there's a lot of things we can learn.
That was great. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
That was a great episode.
Also, there's
all he needed was a U-Pack.
U-Pack Pro. He would have been good.
He'd have been fine. Yeah.
I love when I think Dwight, his emergency food rations are expiring, so he's trying to eat them all.
He's just eating them all, so he doesn't throw them out. Which is funny.
Man.
You do have to check your dates, right?
A lot of lessons.
That's a lot of lessons, yeah.
And a specific
Datrex is usually good for 5 years. Just saying.
It's funny. Specific lessons from Dwight Schrute.
Dwight K. Schrute. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, we have a lot of fun, and I think this would be kind of fun to engage our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah.
Maybe you should, I don't know, this is probably opening up a can of worms.
Ooh, I like it. Let's open some worms. I don't even know what it is, but
maybe
I'm excited.
Comment, and maybe we'll put up in our stories a little thing where they can comment.
Okay. That's not outlandish.
Which office character we most closely resemble.
Resemble?
Yeah. Or not resemble, but like our...
And I work in the warehouse? Come on, that's going to be easy. You're so dumb. All right, Oscar. No, let me stop.
Look at that. You made me unplug my
you
my
could hear...
headphones.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because you're going to be Oscar. Are you ready for that?
Oh, I'm going to be Oscar? Well, I think that's... We let our fans decide.
Oh, I need to get a little keyboard. Dunder Mifflin.
You should come up with an Instinct Ready jam.
Yeah, we should. That'd be cool.
Anyways, I think that concludes.
So here's for a can of worms. Here's some things we could do. Seriously. So yeah, I have no problem with that. Let's office characters. Love that. That'd be great. But seriously, if there's an office episode that you think could have anything to do with the world of preparing, or because Dwight talks about prepping a lot, and he's he's a farmer, so he kind of can live off grid. Like realistically, he's a pretty interesting. He grows his own beets. Like he has some food stores and some things like that. But let's expand it outside the office, right? Because I was even thinking about the Seinfeld episode with George when he was pushing women and children out of the way. Because he's just George. He's literally pushing children and women out of the to get out.
So I like where you're going with this. What other TV and movies maybe
Yeah, let's talk about it.
where there's some real lessons as far as preparedness goes. We want to hear a comment.
Because if
with
I
what you
can
think.
call work watching episodes of The Office and then commenting on it, I'm gonna do more of that work.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
like that.
Let's do that. I
Right.
mean, we're already watching 5 Days at Memorial.
Correct.
We're going through that series. So
Yep.
if there's any other shows
Yeah.
or movies that we should be watching to kind of break down and learn some lessons from, let's do
Love it. Love it.
Let's do it.
Love it.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Well, I think that concludes
Yeah, it's a good episode.
this episode of Disaster Class. But, as always, there's homework.
There is homework. So write, comment, please, like, subscribe, 5-star rating, all that jazz. Let us know. We want to hear from you guys. We want the interaction. When you guys give us recommendations, we try to put it in.
Yeah.
So please, we want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And as always, if you have a question, a preparedness tip, a disaster story to share, send us an email at disasterclass@instinctready.com or send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And doing so will put you in the running to be featured on the show and win some cool stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in to Disaster Class. Stay educated.
Stay prepared.
Stay equipped.
Class dismissed.
Class dismissed. Disaster Class is part of the Readiness Lab, the home for podcasts, webinars, and training in the field of emergency and disaster services.